Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for another video. I'm your host, Patson, and today we're going to be taking a look at r/pro revenge, where OP found out that his girlfriend is just using him for money, so he sent her to prison. Posted by Reddit user XGF is a POS. Cheat on me with my student, steal from me, and then slander my reputation. Get ready to lose your job, future, and face jail time. I was madly in love with my ex-girlfriend. We were together for 4 years. She is quite attractive and very affectionate. She thrived on attention, to which I catered for to the best of my abilities. I fondly called her Winter, and she had a cheesy name for me as well, which I choose not to divulge. Overall, I was happy. I earned significantly more than her, apart from the fact that my grandparents left me a hefty amount of money. Although she lived in her own apartment, we live in a very conservative country. Live-in relationships are a big no-no. Most of the stuff in her apartment was mine. She drove my car, used my laptop, and so on. I have a crappy 32-inch LCD TV, while she bought a 60-inch Bravia and defaulted on payments, after which I had to pay for it. This was not an isolated incident either, because she had a lot of things I was paying for. I admit that I was a doormat, in blissful ignorance of all the red flags. So one day I was at her place and I used her laptop to check my email because I couldn't remember her Wi-Fi password. Her Gmail account was wide open, and as I went to sign out, a Hangouts notification popped up which said, "God knows I love your body. 7, same park, 9 at my place. Wear the dress that I bought for you so I can tear it apart." There were no other texts on that chat head. She probably deleted it. It was my student, which was barely 18 years old, a first-year student who we will call Wuss. I can't describe how I felt at that moment. It was a wild cocktail of emotions. I slammed her laptop and stormed out of her place, but I was foolish enough to not take any evidence. But they were supposed to meet up the next day, and I could catch them red-handed. The next day, I go to the place where they were supposed to meet and catch them making out in my car. I knocked on the window, asked for my keys, and tell her to never talk to me again. She was sobbing, apologizing, and so on. I asked Wuss to drop her home, and he just bolted, like his tail was on fire. I can never forget the look on their faces, that sudden paleness and shocked expression. Wuss also forgot his phone in my car. Meanwhile, I'm being bombarded with texts of her apologizing, but I just blocked her. I left this detail out on my original post that I made on r/relationships, but I spent the next 2 whole days drinking myself to oblivion, and the hungover left me a lot of fuzzy details in my post. I tried calling my best friend, but he was away on a business trip, so I didn't want to disturb him. All I did for those 2 whole days was drink, puke, sleep, eat, and repeat. 2 days later, when I came to my senses, I went through my bank statements and then canceled our joint account. Well, she withdrew almost all of the money in it, out of which almost all of it were mine. I was still being bombarded with texts and calls, but sometime during my drunken soiree, I cracked my phone's screen, thus rendering it useless. So I got my backup phone and see a barrage of notifications. As it turns out, she posted on Facebook that I had been cheating on her, that I was emotionally manipulative, two-faced douchebag who sleeps with his students. We had a lot of mutual friends, most of which blocked me. Someone even created a WhatsApp group and they abused me and said some horrible things. She even turned my own sister against me. Our father left our mother for a younger woman half his age. Our mother got depressed and died a few years later. Thus, she was overtly sensitive about infidelity. But my ex was also manipulative, and she had pushed all the right buttons to make my sister hate me. My ex was hitting all of the past wounds. She knew about our father. She said some things like, "Chip off the old block, and he's just like your father," and many more horrible made-up things. She got very depressed because of this, And also, several of her friends were on my ex's side. This has probably put a permanent strain on our relationship. Word about my ex's Facebook post spread like wildfire in the college. They pinned a shy, socially awkward girl as being my mistress, and they shamed that poor girl. To be honest, I had never even noticed her. The revenge. Finally, the part everyone was waiting for. She effectively ruined my reputation and goodwill I had created in my community and among my peers, put my job in jeopardy. She turned my only family, my only sister against me. I later show her the apology text from my ex, and then she apologized to me because clearly I was the victim, not her. Several kind Redditors suggested I contact a lawyer, which I did. So the next day, when I went for work to take a few days off, I see Wuss and his father for me. Somehow, I resisted the urge to punch him. He apologized and told me that he'd do anything so as to not get him out of college. I asked him if he would testify in my favor, and he obliged. I did tell him that I won't be able to save him because that was out of my power. He told me that he would still testify in my favor, and sent me several screenshots of his chats with my ex, thus confirming that she was the one cheating on me, and not the other way around. I pressed charges against her under the IPC, Indian Penal Code, Section 499, defamation, 500 and 504, intentional insult with the intent to provoke breach of peace. The day of the hearing was, frankly, the best day of my life since the breakup. She said a lot of malignant things about me, was yelling a lot to the point that the judge had to scold her. Her lawyer did ask for an out-of-court settlement, but I politely declined because it's not only my life that she had screwed over, but a lot of people's. It would have been a lot more cheaper and I would have gotten some dough. But you know what? Fuck her. This was quite a scandal, but since I have a tenure of 5 years, they can't fire me. I was transferred to another college instead. Same pay, same incentives, but I'll have to travel a bit more than I prefer. As for my ex, she is knee-deep in shit. She was a librarian in the institution I worked for and was fired as soon as I notified the authorities. The reason being, philandering with a student. This has also screwed up her chance of procuring a job in the future. She also faces jail time, as mentioned under Section 500 and 504, which can extend up to imprisonment of over 2 years, a fine, or both. She can post for bail, however. Wuss has been expelled. The money she stole, well, that would be going to her lawyer. My best friend went to her apartment, got my stuff back for me, which included a futon, a refrigerator, an air conditioner, a laptop, and several expensive electronics and some jewelry. Wow, this woman is a piece of shit. She would be keeping the TV though because it's in her name. She would probably have to sell it because lawyers ain't cheap. Also the fact that she has no jobs and no savings. This is India, by the way, and as if you might have guessed, people are very, very conservative here. At some point, she will have to reach out to her parents, who still thinks she's a virgin. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, make sure to subscribe to Patson to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.